What happened to the Thorn expedition was not reported in the news. The official file is sealed, citing a tragic wilderness incident. But the truth, or a terrifying portion of it, was salvaged from the fractured hard drives of their abandoned equipment. It's a story about a place that doesn't exist on any map, and a whisper that teaches you how to die. In May of 2022, a team of 4 researchers from the University of Alaska Fairbanks ventured into one of the state's most isolated territories. The expedition was led by Dr. Eris Thorn, a renowned biologist with a sterling reputation for debunking myths with cold, hard science. He was joined by Dr. Lena Moretti, a sharp-witted geophysicist whose pragmatism was the perfect foil to Thorn's academic curiosity. Ben Carter, a quiet but brilliant botanist who saw nature as a sacred text. And Sam Jones, their young, tech-savvy communications specialist, tasked with keeping them connected to the outside world. Their destination was a canyon known in local Tlingit lore as Kusha Kane, the Canyon of Lost Selves. For generations, elders warned that the valley was protected by a spirit that did not steal a man's life, but his mind, leaving only a hollow, wandering shell behind. The stories were not just myths, they were history. Archives from the early 20th century told of 3 separate prospectors who entered its woods in search of gold. One was found months later, miles downstream, clutching a worthless piece of quartz, his fingernails worn down to the quick. The other 2 were never seen again. Thorn's team, armed with state-of-the-art scientific equipment, intended to find a rational explanation for this dark legacy. They had no idea they were about to become its most terrifying case study. The first 5 days, according to the recovered logs, were routine. The team established a highly organized base camp and began their initial surveys of the valley's unique geology. A recovered video log shows Ben Carter, the botanist, expressing his fascination. He had already identified 3 new species of lichen, but a note of clinical concern crept into his voice. In an audio entry from day 4, he describes the dominant organism in the valley, a pale, moss-like fungus that coated the northern faces of the ancient trees. His log entry reads, Log, Carter, Day 4. The primary fungal specimen, which I've designated EC1, is an anomaly. It displays no discernible root system, no mycelial network connecting it to the soil or the trees themselves. It seems to simply exist upon the bark. More bizarrely, its cellular structure under the portable microscope matches no known terrestrial biology. It's as if it evolved in a completely separate ecosystem. It is beautiful, but I can't shake the feeling that it's alien. The first reported anomaly occurred on day 6. It was a personal audio file from Dr. Moretti. In it, she complains of a persistent high-frequency ringing in her ears, a sound she likens to the clicking of 1,000 tiny insects. She dismissed it as stress-induced tinnitus. By day 8, all 4 members had reported the same symptom in their private logs. The shared experience did not bring them together. It drove them apart. Tension in the camp became palpable. A corrupted video file from the camp's main security camera, its audio hopelessly lost to data decay, shows Moretti and Jones in a heated, gesticulating argument. She can be seen pointing frantically at a sensor array, then at her own head, her body language sharp with accusation. Jones in turn points with a trembling hand towards the deep woods, a look of sheer terror on his face, as if trying to make her see something that wasn't there. Paranoia had begun to metastasize. The turning point came on day 10. Dr. Thorn, who had been focused on strange magnetic fluctuations, made the breakthrough they were looking for. He discovered the source of the interference. It wasn't geological. It was biological. The strange pale fungus, EC1, was emitting a low-level magnetic field. More chillingly, it was bioluminescent. As night fell, the entire valley began to pulse with a faint, hypnotic blue light. A new audio log captures Thorn's initial excitement, but as he speaks, his tone changes. He records a chilling observation. The fungus seemed to react to sound. The steady hum of their portable generator caused its glow to pulse faster, in perfect rhythm with the engine's frequency. It was listening. After this discovery, the data becomes chaotic, a digital scream of dying sanity. Camp discipline completely disintegrated. In a heavily distorted audio diary, Dr. Thorne's detached, clinical tone is gone. He sounds mesmerized, almost serene, as if he's been converted. He describes the whispers everyone is hearing not as a symptom, but as a form of pure, unfiltered communication. His final coherent entry reads, "They're wrong. It isn't noise, it's language. A song that bypasses the ears and prints itself directly onto the brain. The magnetic field isn't a byproduct, it's the carrier wave. This organism, this consciousness, it's been waiting. It wants to show us things. I am on the verge of the greatest discovery in human history." A final, panicked video log was recovered from Lena Moretti's personal drive, time-stamped on day 14. She is hidden in her tent, the fabric torn. Her face is pale and gaunt, her eyes wide with a specific, clinical terror. She whispers that Carter had walked into the woods hours ago, humming the melody, and had not returned. She says that Thorne has been sitting outside, cross-legged before a pulsing tree, staring without blinking for over 16 hours. She claims the song from the fungus is now a clear, complex melody in her head, and that it is showing her the architecture of her own bones and how to open things up to let the light in. In the final seconds of the recording, she looks down at her own scientific rock hammer with a sudden, horrific understanding. The camera falls. The image corrupts, and the recording ends in a cacophony of digital noise and a single, sharp, cracking sound. 4 months later, a search party located the camp. There were no bodies, but the scene was not one of an animal attack or a simple abandonment. It was a scene of methodical, ritualistic madness. The expensive scientific equipment wasn't just smashed. It was meticulously disassembled, its smallest components laid out in complex spiral patterns that mimicked the growth on the trees. Pages from research notebooks were arranged in elaborate, geometric mosaics on the forest floor, weighed down by carefully chosen riverstones. It was a shrine to a new, alien intelligence. The forensics team spent nearly a year recovering fragments from the shattered hard drives, but the most damning piece of evidence was a single, uncorrupted image file from Dr. Thorne's own laptop. It was the last picture he ever took. An image from his digital microscope. It shows a single spore from the bioluminescent fungus. Its structure, with its branching filaments and synaptic-like nodes, was a near-perfect mirror of a human neuron. The truth was undeniable. The team hadn't faced a spirit or a curse. They had stumbled upon an evolutionary predator of the highest order. A fungus that didn't just poison its victims, it infiltrated their nervous systems, overriding their thoughts, their perceptions, their very consciousness. It amplified paranoia and fear, not to kill its host, but to use them, to make them perform the complex, ritualistic tasks required for its own propagation. The whispers they heard were the sound of their own minds being rewritten, their identities being hollowed out to make room for the song of the forest. Today, the area surrounding the valley is cordoned off by the government, a no-fly zone designated under the official story of unstable and unpredictable geological conditions. A leaked internal memo from the university, however, cites a Level 4 neuroinvasive biocontaminant of A leaked internal memo from the university, however, cites a Level 4 neuroinvasive biocontaminant of unknown origin. The file is now permanently classified. The bodies of the Thorne expedition were never found. The ancient Tlingit legends were true. There is a place that takes your mind. But the spirits of their stories were a poetic metaphor for a reality far more terrifying. A microscopic organism that has achieved a form of biological warfare waiting silently in the dark. It is still there, pulsing with a soft blue light, humming its quiet, patient song, and waiting for new listeners to find it.